they were not the fastest by any means in qualifying for the final.
Well, they only just scraped through, really. So they've got it all to do, and not in the happiest of lanes either, so very difficult. Last year's silver medalists, France, haven't made the final, so it's been quite an upset here. But the top of the picture from Germany, Wilms and Hajek, they're an interesting double. They were in the quad that won last year. They're now back in the double, and they look very powerful. They've been looking very good right through the regatta, and they do like sculling together. And remember, Wilms was the gold medalist in the single in 1997, and both of these men were in the Olympic gold medal cruise quads of 92 and 96.
Indeed they were, Dan. They've got massive experience, the two 30-year-olds. But here, by contrast, Matthew Wells and Ian Lawson and Chris Collerton, who looks after them, absolutely delighted to see them in the final.
Well, it's a great job to have a British double back in top-flight sculling, because it's taken a long time since the days of Bailey and Hart to see double scullers back in a final lineup here. Australia also new, quite young, and as always technically very nice. They scull very nicely together. Do they have the power in the middle of the stroke when the pressure really comes on?
Peter Hardcastle there in the stroke seat took a year off after Sydney. He was in the quad that finished in 4th place, now partnered by Craig Jones, and they're just about vying for 2nd place. But it is the champions closest to us who've got the early advantage. But Dan, these water conditions certainly not easier. In fact, I would say they're getting more difficult.
They are getting difficult, very difficult indeed. But the Hungarians really have turned themselves around a little bit here. They're leading the field there. Not according to the caption, but they are certainly leading the field with Germany, their main rivals there, who have just moved ahead.
The Italians, well, what would a World Championship be, Dan, without an Abagnale involved?
Well, Agostino's been doing very well. I mean, he won the Olympics in gold, took a year off, and now here he is back in very fine form again. A very powerful athlete.
Czech pair of Jolacek and Sinek. Well, they were 11th in the Czech quad a year ago, so now trying their fortunes as a double, and you've got to say, Dan, that they've done well to get into the final.
Well, they were first in the World Cup in Munich, and they beat Hungary, so they've been going very well actually this season. So that's quite good. But there are the Hungarians. They are a very nice double. They move very sweetly together, but they are under a lot of pressure now from Germany at the top of the picture.
And there's another sense where they're very lucky, in fact, because just before this regatta, in fact a couple of weeks before it, most of the Hungarian squad was decimated by a salmonella outbreak, and these two were down at the canoeing base in Szeged and not training in Budapest, and therefore didn't have the offending piece of cake, I think it was, that caused all the problem.
Interesting upright position of the German scullers. That's very normal for the way they scull. They're very big, powerful men, so they do rely a lot on hard leg drive. You see there, quick look across there from Hajek just to see how they're doing, moving very, very fine, very fast. Interestingly, that normally we've got the fastest crews in the middle of the regatta, but here we've got the leaders at the moment in the two outside lanes, Hungary and Germany.
Yes, with Abagnale and Berra at the moment, just about in 3rd spot. Agostino, of course, he was winning Olympic golds as far back as 1988 in the Italian quad.
Germany at 38 strokes a minute. This is the way they like to go. Wilms won his single title at 42 strokes a minute from the 1,000-metre mark. So this is the way they like to go. He normally strokes the quad. But these guys here, now Hungary at 36 strokes a minute, moving very sweetly. Quick look across there to see what they've got to do. They've got half a length to do. They've got half a length to make up now on Germany. But Italy are now coming through the middle there, putting on a lot of pressure, with Australia tagging them very, very closely.
Yes, the Germans certainly with all the experience in the world. But I must say, Dan, what's your view of the Hungarians? To me, they're sculling absolutely beautifully in these conditions. They're
doing extraordinarily well from that outside lane. Very, very bouncy water. They're sitting there in second position. They've really recovered from that terrible semi-final and first round, and in fact World Cup as well. They just haven't really had such a good time of it. But have the Germans gone too early? They've been up at 40 strokes a minute, trying to hold on to this lead, but Hungary are now beginning to push hard, and so too are Italy.
Yes, that was a much quicker quarter by the Hungarians, 1:32.40, and it's between these three, and this is a great example of fair racing right across the course. Here we have the whole course represented, Germany on the far side, Hayek and Wilms in the middle there. It's Abanyali and Berra, and closest to you now, it's Haller and Pito.
And it's Pito and Haller who have moved into the lead. They have come through into the lead. But it's Italy there in lane 4 who are now tracking them. Can Italy get past? Can Abanyali do that famous Abanyali final sprint and push back past Hungary? But Hungary are flying. Big breaths, moving well, but they're holding Italy, and they're moving away again now. They're moving away from Italy. Italy cannot get back, but Italy are past Germany. Germany slipping back now into third position, but in safe third position, because there's no way that Australia are going to catch them there.
Now the other two crews, Czech Republic and Great Britain, well behind these four crews, but it is, as you said, Dan, the Hungarians now who've got the grip on the race now. They're not going to win by much because the Italians are still coming at them as we go towards the line. Abanyali and Berra still pressing, but every time they ask the Hungarians a question, the champions have got the answer, and indeed the champions retain their title. Italy with the silver, and Germany take bronze ahead of Australia, with the Czechs finishing ahead of Great Britain. Not a world best. Oh, and Dan, they're going in.
Oh, that's a rare sight. They've got to hold on to the boat. They've got to hold on to the boat.
And the launch is there now. It's really dangerous at the end of the race when that happens, but the safety in very quickly as Agostino reflects, as do Andre Wilms and Andreas Hayek.
Well, they took the lead there halfway through the race, moved very well, but I don't think they could quite maintain it. But they are back into the medals, and that's really very pleasing for them. Last year, the Germans ran out of steam. This year, this double did very well to take bronze medal.
So all's well that ends well for Hungary's sports